signs from our deceased loved ones are pretty easy to spot when you know what to look for and how to ask for them. So in this second video of the Invisible Accessible series, I'm going to show you 5 ways that they use sign to get in touch with us. And also I will share with you my personal experiences. So the first sign is electric wave and Wi-Fi. Our deceased loved ones are more alive than ever on the astral plane. That is a dimension that is all love, energy, light, and vibration. So it's easy for them to play with Wi-Fi and electricity. And that can take the form of flickering lights or voice messages where a song plays, or in my experience, it can be a song that starts playing on the radio, whether it's a physical radio or on the web. And it's giving you the impression that this deceased person is talking to you through the song. And it can even happen if your radio is turned off, again, even if it's a physical one or on the web. So it didn't happen to me, but I know in some cases it happens. And my personal experience was a few years ago, I went to see the doctor and I learned that I had a condition that was similar to what my father had. So my father is the closest person to me who has died. He died over 15 years ago. And so he was already dead when I learned about that condition. And I didn't know yet if it was serious or not. I needed to do some testing. So now you see me, I'm fine, don't be worried. It wasn't anything serious, but I was really overwhelmed with emotions. In that case, when we are too emotional, we cannot connect. We need to make space, we need to be calm. That's why we meditate so much when we work as psychics. And so my father wanted to send me a message, but I couldn't perceive the message, and he used the radio. I was driving back home and I was, there were tears in my eyes, super emotional. And then I said something like, "Daddy, thinking about you," or "Please help me." And then I switched the radio station, and the song that started to play, it was like my father was speaking directly to me. I could feel him, I could feel his energy. He was saying, "Don't worry, I'll always be there for you, even in the darkest times." So that was a very nice way for him to get in touch with me and send me a sign that he was there. So that was the first way. Now the second way, not fifth, the second way is nature. Now, a soul on the astral plane is able to influence nature. One of the 2 most common ways that I've heard of are beams of light directed on a specific person, or a gust of wind that comes in when there was no wind, whether inside or outside, and most of the time directed specifically to on a person again. Now the third way is objects and numbers. Now for objects, I'd like to take an example of a couple who met in Paris and had always a strong connection with the Eiffel Tower. They were always taking pictures of them in front of the Eiffel Tower every wedding anniversary. That is completely fictional, by the way. I know some of you know that I met my husband in Paris. That is not our case. We haven't taken any pictures in front of the Eiffel Tower, I think. So it's a completely fictive, but that fictive couple has a very strong connection with the Eiffel Tower. And let's say at some point the husband dies, and shortly after, the wife keeps seeing Eiffel Towers everywhere. It can be on the television, on the web, in books. It can be souvenirs when she goes out shopping, or even visiting friends. She sees them everywhere. It's a sign from her husband saying, I'm there for you, don't worry about me. So, and numbers too, I mentioned numbers. Same thing can happen with numbers that were significant for both people. We can see those numbers on bills, clocks, hotel rooms. And now maybe some of you are thinking, well, objects and numbers, we get the same with the guides, which is true. It's something that I've had with the guides, with hotel room numbers when I met my husband. The guides were showing me that it was the right person, it was a soulmate, by giving us always the same room number, even though we were in different countries, different hotels completely. So that was a nice little wink from the guides. But now back to deceased person, there is a fourth way, and that is strong intuitions. And that may be one of the strongest signs that I've had from my dad when shortly after he passed away. So sometimes we can have strong intuitions or envies. We just get this, I want to do something, like it comes from nowhere. We cannot explain it, but we have this intuition of something we need to do. And it can be, I need to read this book. And then you open the book and the first sentence that you read, it's something a message that really touches you and makes you think of the deceased person. It can be really feeling the push to call someone. And it ends up that person says something to you that is very significant. Maybe it's valuable guidance, something you needed to hear at that time. So the deceased person couldn't tell you physically. They're not on the physical plane. So they're using the tools that they have, and strong intuitions is a sign. And it's something that I've experienced just a few months after my father died. I wanted to take a walk and go visit my father's grave. It was near where I lived at the time. And so the more I was getting there, the more I was getting, no, you're not going to see your father's tomb. Or it was almost as if you don't need that to get in touch with him. And so I thought I was a bit crazy, because at that time I wasn't open spiritually as I am now, because at 5 years old I have had an experience that scared me a lot. So I shut down that whole part of me for 20 years. And so when my father died, I'm walking and I just cannot go to the cemetery. It's just something is pulling me. Don't go there. And then poof, I'm crossing the street and I've got this idea in my head, and I am going to buy the book that my coworker talked about a few months ago. I don't even know if my father was dead when she talked about it. And that book is right here. I'm going to show it to you. It's Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. And if you don't know him, he's I don't even know how to say it in English. Is it written? He does hypnosis, counseling, psychologist, master hypnotherapist. Oh, it's same as in French, hypnotherapist. So he's very renowned because he was doing regressions with his clients. And at some point, it was just regressions to take them back to when they were very young or even babies. But at some point, he realized that some of his patients were going back to the afterlife and to previous lives. And he realized that all those people had the same terminology in explaining how it worked in the afterlife. Super interesting. I'm reading this book like in 2 hours. I read the book. And it really spoke to me. It opened me up again to my spirituality, and it changed me. And my father gave me the push, that strong intuition. It's like he was controlling my GPS. And thanks to him, I went to that library and bought the book. So that was the fourth sign. Now the fifth sign is animals and insects. It's a very well-known sign. People in the afterlife are able to influence animals and insects. For example, I know a woman who lost her son, and very recently after that, every time she was thinking about her son, she was butterflies would land on her hand, on her arm. It was a very, very nice story, and it kept happening and happening. And I had the same with my father, but this time I asked for it. Sorry about that. Need to clear my throat. So I did it very recently. I did it this summer. I wanted to see if asking for a sign more than 15 years after my father passed would work. And it did work. It was very, very exciting. What I did is I asked my father to see groundhogs. I have nothing special or significant with groundhogs. My father doesn't have anything significant with them. It was on purpose. I really wanted to see if it could work. And it did. I saw groundhogs while walking in the neighborhood. Previously, I've been living here for 8 years? Never saw groundhogs. I was driving. I saw a groundhog by the road, still alive. And then I was like, okay, it's nice. Seems like it's working. But what is amazing is that recently we went to the cottage. My husband was in recovery at the time. He couldn't get out of the house, so my mother took his place. And when we got there, it's a cottage where I went there just a month before, during the summer. There were no groundhogs. And there was one there, and we realized she was living under the deck. And we would see her all the time, morning, afternoon, evenings, just before the sunset. She was always there, super cute. And when we were preparing to leave, we were in the cottage. And the whole time she was like on her back legs, like she was saying goodbye to us, and she was looking directly at the cottage. It was super, super cute. So that was a strong sign because my mother was there. My husband never knew my father, so it was extra special for me. So I know a lot of you have had experiences with signs from deceased loved ones, and if you would like to share them with me, please write to me on YouTube or Instagram, and I will be very, very happy to read your messages and to discuss with you.